have to make a decision of where I want to go.
And do you have a preference?
Gosh, I really like programming. I think that for, the skill set that I developed from owning Drenched allows me to do that.
Well,
Um,
you can see that.
and but I came from a very strong sales background as well. I sold for Pfizer for 12 years. I sold for Myriad for 2 years. Um, so we'll see. And maybe somebody else will make that decision for me. Maybe that would be the best answer.
So, we like to have our listeners learn about obstacles that you ran into as you were growing the business. Were there any particular obstacles that you and Brandon found as you were going through this beginning and development?
The biggest one that comes to my mind is money.
Always, right?
It's always money.
Always. Yeah.
I mean, Flexline isn't a small endeavor. It's got a lot of technology in it, so that means software engineers. It's got a lot of mechanical hardware to it, so that's a lot of mechanical engineers. So it's a big undertaking. Um, it's just a matter of you know the obstacles being money, and then just the obstacles of there's just so many from you know maybe you just have to take a turn in the path, rather than be so set on one idea, right? So you just have to definitely let your idea evolve and not fight it. Does that make sense? Because
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, because you find a better way and a better way and a better way. And money is definitely an issue when you're first starting out. So how was it that you were able to attract investors?
Oh gosh, I think it was a lot of the right place at the right time, because this was somebody we did not know. It just happened to be somebody that we were introduced to, and it went very quickly. I think I think for concepts that have legs, money is always out there. It takes a good business plan. It takes a good eye for what direction you want to go, um, and if all of those things align, then I think the money can be out there. It's not easy, that's for sure. Finding
No.
money isn't easy, but you've got to keep your head down, um, stick to your guns, follow your plans, and it can work.
So if you were to advise, I mean, there are a lot of women in the situation that you found yourself in. They've been downsized. If people, and this is sad really, it's not only the downsizing, but it's downsizing sometimes for the wrong reasons. They want to get younger, cheaper
Mhm.
people, and so it's not really fair, but there you are, and all of a sudden, the rug is taken out from under you. You have a lot of skills, but you also know you had a nice little paycheck and nice benefits. What do you advise someone who finds themselves in that circumstance?
So if they find themselves in a circumstance, you're saying, where they've been downsized and maybe they have a passion or they have an idea and they want to bring it to market. Is that the question?
Or, or whatever your suggestions are, I think our listeners would be interested.
So I think you have to do a couple things. Number one, you really need to decide what kind of person you truly are, right? Like I wasn't always the person to have my own business with Drenched or be part of Flexline. That wasn't always innate in me, but it evolved and it developed in me. And I think somebody needs to really identify, are they somebody that feels more comfortable in a corporate setting, or do they really feel like they can move on their own? Because that's probably the hardest question, because there's a lot of fear involved in that, right? That definitely was part of my psychology when we built Drenched, and then when we went into Flexline, is do I can I do this? Can I be an entrepreneur and really bite the bullet with this? I think that because once you do it, you've just got to run with it and you've got to go. And I think that there's a certain amount of market analysis that you need to do with whatever it is you want to bring to market, whether it's a service or it's a product. You really need to be really honest about what the market is telling you to do.
I agree with you. I agree with you there.
Um, and then you just need to gain support. I think that the support that you get from your family and your friends is crucial, because you're going to hit highs and you're going to hit some lows.
So were there any I don't want to say second thoughts, but I would say, I mean, were there some really tough discussions that you and your husband had to have to do this? Did he continue in a job, or did he also leave?
Well, he also owns a business. He has a website, a product called Porch Potty, and so that is still in existence today. It's basically a dog litter box, and so that has been able to help us get through the hard times financially. But because of the scope of this product, if we hadn't been able to get an investor, we would be moving at a snail's pace. That's not to say that we wouldn't be continuing along, the continuum with Flexline, but we would be moving very slowly, very, very slowly. Basically, every time we get a sale, then the company would progress. So, I mean, there was never a point where it was like, we're going to shut this down, but we definitely, when we were deciding, are we going to move from sale to sale, or are we going to try to raise money, it was very clear that we needed to raise money. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question correctly.
Yeah, but I think that's, what our listeners need to hear. So what is the website? I assume that it's very simple.
Yep, just flexlinefitness.com.
And that's FLEXLINE fitness.com. So if anybody
Correct.
wants to look at what Julie's talking about, just go to flexlinefitness.com, because it is kind of hard to visualize if you haven't seen it. As I say, I saw it at the conference, and so I know what she's talking about. But it's really something. It's amazing. I had never really seen anything like this before, so it was quite intriguing to me. Now, we've got a couple minutes left, Julie. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like our audience to know?
Oh gosh, about Flexline, about business, about starting a business, or anything in between?
Anything in between, as long as it's 2 minutes.
As long as it's 2 minutes, okay. No, not really. I mean, if somebody out there is really interested in starting a business, you only live once. You've really got to go with your passion. You've got to go with what your gut is telling you to do, because life is too short, and the last thing you want to do is look back and say, I should have, I could have, why didn't I? So, vet your idea, vet what you're thinking you want to do. And if after doing all that, you still think that it's possible, in my opinion, you've got to put your best foot forward and go for it.
Well, I think that's good advice. I really do. I think it's wonderful. I think the ingenuity is there. I think it's marvelous that a husband and wife can work together and do it well. And for those of you that are out there thinking about either doing something on your own, or maybe bringing your partner, your spouse, your husband into it, I definitely would look at all the angles and investigate and talk to each other and see how it all works out, because I certainly know that my husband and I would have not been we were a good team in real estate, because I found the money and he did the construction. But his method of operation and my method of operation were as diverse as you could possibly imagine, so, but that doesn't mean that it didn't work in the other instance. So we have just enjoyed working with you today and hearing from you, Julie. And my guest again has been Julie Kennington, and she is the developer with her husband of Flexline Fitness, and her website is flexlinefitness.com. Thanks so much for being with us, Julie.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.